Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to another vlog of knives. That is the new Victorinox Pro Hunter in Alox. There are 3 other versions of that, 2 of which are less expensive than that model, so I'll include the Amazon links to all the versions. Alright, so the Alox is textured aluminum. You know, Alox scales are thinner than typical Victorinox scales. They give a good grip because of that texture, and they're also just attractive. But this has an opening hole, opens smoothly. It's a lockback. It's got a little bit of texture on a thumb ramp there. It's got a bead blast. Right, there's the pocket clip and the lanyard hole. Comes with that lanyard as well. Now, Victorinox uses a little bit of an unconventional shape for their folding hunter. Right, there's a comparison with that's the Buck Kalinga folder, which I don't think that's even made anymore, but blast from the past, this old Buck Kalinga. It's a liner lock. Yeah, I mean it's got a very good handle because, you know, you want a firm grip if you're going to have a hunting knife. But yeah, not made anymore, but basically it's got a swept back tip so that it can have more of a belly for slicing. You know, the only thing I really don't like about this model is they've chosen to go with a bead blast. And I don't know, I think a hunting knife should have a high polish finish. Yeah, the bead blast, I would change that, but overall I'm just really happy that they came out with any new Alox model at all. You know, more Alox. That's one of the most common requests that Victorinox gets. If you look at the comment section on videos featuring any of their knives, people love the Alox, and I think there's so much pent-up demand for new Alox models that I do feel this will sell well. Even the price currently is about $100, but you have to figure, oh, $100 for a Swiss Army knife, you know, it's just a lot more knife than your usual. You know, if you compare it to their usual standard Alox models, I mean, it's way more knife, all right? So that's in defense of that price, but again, you have to like Victorinox to want to buy that because there's so many other brands that you could spend that $100 on. And while we've got the Alox on the table, I might as well review my recommendations for, you know, what are your options with the Victorinox Alox. This is the Electrician. Definitely recommend this for easy to carry, folding pocket knife with a lot of uses. This is the Farmer. If you do need the saw, if you want to make notches in wood, if you do woodwork, stop cuts, whittling, you know, you might want this. Now this is the Pioneer X. This is the one to get if you need scissors on your Swiss Army knife. This is actually extremely popular. You know, it's a competitor to the Super Tinker, as well as the Fieldmaster, the Huntsman. But what's it got going for it? It's still fairly thin and easy to carry, even though they put the scissors in there. Alright, so I'll include links to all those as well as my top 20 picks for Swiss Army knives. Check out those links, they do help the channel. Alright, I have a deal alert on this Hanway MULTITOOL, which are basically some heavy shears. Right, those shears, the blades on those are carbon steel. Hanway Forge is actually a forge that mostly they make swords, but they made this. The price on this has gone down to $25, and that's just because when it first came out, there was only a few stores that had them, but a lot more stores have ordered these, so temporarily the price has gone way down to $25. That is a good deal. Now it's got a sliding mechanism. I've shown this before, but basically look how thick and heavily built those shears are. You know, not the usual cheap stainless steel for those either. So yeah, that's a pretty good deal. I'll include a link. I can't guarantee how long it'll stay that price, but for everyone who gets in on it, you know, score. Now here's an interesting find. They're calling this it's the Frost Chip-Away Dakota. I happened to see this knife in the Smoky Mountain Knife Works catalog, and then I hopped onto Amazon to see if they had any available. It looks like it would have some bushcraft application. It's a very small knife, right? So more of like a backup, or I don't know where such a small knife might fit into your system. I gotta say, the handle scales on this are very uneven. They need to do a better job on those scales, and the sheath is really crappy. All right, I want to be honest. Cheap knife, you're gonna get a crappy sheath, but I thought you might want to know that this is out there. But overall, I don't know, if a knife company made like a higher quality version of like this same design, I think that would sell really well. But I'll include a link. There's only one store that sells these, so I can't do a full review if only one store has them, because, you know, they need to have a certain number available. So if they can put more of these on Amazon, then you'll get the full review. But until then, I don't know, what do you think? Alright, but let's go in the other direction. That's kind of the, like a cheap option. If money is no object, I've shown this before, but it kind of reminded me of this whole small fixed blade category. White River, right? Check out the company, hold on, White River. Since I've shown this same company has come out with a lot of new models, but this is a very, very nice knife. This one is S30V, right? And yeah, if you're not on a tight budget, check out White River. They have some very classy stuff, functional as well, of course. Came sharp as all hell and so forth. So yeah, check out White River. I'll include some links. Oh, and by the way, this knife still exists. This Wartech neck knife, I'll include a link to this. This thing is like $12, around $12 or less. And, you know, I think they tried to get super funky with this design and accidentally made something that's actually really ergonomic and useful in the neck knife category. I mean, I gotta say, this is a gem for like $12. This thing is just freaking handy. I've shown this before, but, you know, Wartech, not a very well-known brand. I don't think I've ever recommended a Wartech ever, except for some like throwing knives they had and this knife, but whatever, you know, just because a brand has a bunch of weird stuff doesn't mean that one or two offerings might not be useful. Yeah, blast from the past. I'll include a link to this knife. Now this is a budget slip joint, Bulldog brand. It's a 3-bladed sodbuster, which they're calling a dirt buster, variation of a sodbuster. Now what I like about this knife is the different blades. You got that small one. It's, you know, kind of like for penknife duties, but it's also, the tip is a bit forward of the center line, and it's also the most pointed of the 3 blades. Right, so that's for slicing, for draw cuts, for piercing cuts, and for penknife stuff. And you got the other 2 blades. This is just a more conventional blade. Mainly, these 2 blades are mainly slicers. Right, that middle blade, that's a spay blade, spay tip we've talked about. Modern uses, mainly for skinning, which is mainly slicing. But yeah, I just thought that was a nice little toolbox of different blades for different types of cutting. So there you go. I'll include the links. And still more stuff, right? This thing is freaking genius. Did you know Milwaukee has come out with a mini version of their fastback series? Right, the Milwaukee fastback is one of the most popular folding utility knives. This is the mini version, very inexpensive. I'll include a link. It's got a button lock, and you can flip this out. Hold on, let me get around my my tripod. To flip it out, you have to depress that. But there you go. And it is, like I said, that's a lock, so that's locked now. But yeah, that is handy, and look how compact that is. That is a great freaking idea, because the larger version of this is super popular. Alright, and speaking of Milwaukee, this is the Fastback 3. This is the newest version of the Fastback. Now, I've had the Fastback 1 for many years. I showed it back in the day, and I was excited to find out that they've made new improved models. This has a line cutter right there. They've added a lanyard hole. This also has hold on, this also has onboard storage. You can actually store extra utility blades right there. This thing also flips out because it's got a button lock, right? It also locks in two different positions, right, like that, or, hold on, you can lock it at a 45. That's useful. It's also got a wire stripper right there. Yeah, it's definitely great that they've come out with a new version of that because the fastback has been a super popular knife. I showed mine back in the day, and because I showed it in a few videos, I heard from countless people that use that knife. People who work in inventory, in shipping, in stocking, warehouse work, pretty much anyone who needs to just cut stuff a lot. And here's another blade in their line, very useful. Again, it's got, you can flip it out, hold on, flip it out like that. This one has a liner lock as well, pocket clip, but this type of blade, good for a variety of things. You know, the hawkbill. I mean, I have a fixed blade that's like it's for cutting linoleum tiles, similar blade shape to this, but yeah, that looks pretty wicked. Alright, so I'll include a link to this knife as well. And while we're on utility knives, this is the Outdoor Edge slide winder, they're calling it. This is a keychain type utility knife, but it's also got two screwdriver heads. Right, so you can put it on your keychain with that hole there, but it's also got you can also clip it to your pocket, and it slides out. You just press that, and it's a little cutter. This is about $10. This is a lot better constructed than most competitors, right? And I do believe Gideon's Tactical did a full review of this, right? So you can check that out if you're curious. But oh, and if you press this, it'll auto retract if you press that. But yeah, that's a handy little item. And yet more in the utility knife category. What the heck is this? I didn't even know this existed. I never heard of this brand, but I happened to see it. This will blow your mind. Yeah, Defiance Tools. It's a folding utility knife. Multi-tool? What? That's crazy. Alright, so it's basically a folding utility knife. Comes with that blade guard, and it's got a wire stripper there. It's a liner lock. So it's a folding utility knife, but then wait a minute. It's got like other stuff, just a regular knife blade, and it's also got a saw. And these also lock too. These are all locking implements. This also has a little bit holder there. It comes with two bits, right? A Phillips and a flathead. So, all right. And they've also somehow shoehorned a little LED light. Like what? I'm amazed at all the stuff they fit into here, considering the good thing about this is no larger than a normal folding utility knife. Like if you compare it to my Fastback 3, it's actually no bigger than a regular folding utility knife, and it's actually not even as thick as the Fastback, right? So like even if you never use any of the other stuff on this, it would already be worth it just as a folding utility knife, because it's not like you're carrying any extra bulk to carry that. So even if you only use the other stuff once a month, it's kind of like a bonus. I mean, I kind of want to see where different companies go with this design, because there's not many folding utility knife multi-tools. But if you think about it, like, how many times do you use like the corkscrew that's on some multi-tools? How many times do you actually use the can opener? Like, I know I use utility knives a lot more often than I use some of the things that are already on multi-tools. You know, back when I was a kid, it was actually the can opener and the bottle opener were actually used a lot more. But these days, you know, with packaging, everything is pop tops and they're just not as useful. Whereas how many workers every day use a utility knife? So I definitely think multi-tool companies need to try to make stuff like this just to sell their stuff to the freaking tens of thousands of people that use a utility knife every freaking day. All right, so this was $30, right? And the fastback, you know, that's around $20, although the older models are even less expensive. So basically, for an extra $10, you get some extra features. You know, it's up to you if that's worth it to you. I think it's worth it because, you know, for $10 more, you get the little light, the saw, the conventional blade, a little screwdriver. Yeah, I'd say that's worth it. All right, so I'll include a link to that. All right, YouTube, so that has been this episode of Knife Vlog. I could go on, but I got to keep the length of these videos to a certain reasonable length, but I hope it was useful for you. All right, so I'll include all the links. Just check those out. Those do support the channel. Stay tuned for more reviews as well as just overview survey videos such as this, deal alerts, and so forth. From budget stuff to pricey stuff. This has been We All Juggle Knives. I'm out.